Sorry we have to do this, but it is a post-mortem for the Chicago Bears, who were that close to making the NFC Championship game. Kyle Long, former Bear, was there in attendance for that game. I'd like to know, Kyle, and I'm sorry, as a Bears fan, I'm sorry we don't get to talk about the Bears playing this week in the NFC Championship game, but what a season. What was that like, the vibes in that stadium, compared to maybe your time there in Chicago when you were in a playoff game against the Eagles 7-8 years ago?
Well, it'd be really hard to compare because that was the first round. You know what I'm saying? The Eagles-Bears, the double doink game was the first round. And this team has already played the first round. And the first round, I would argue, was much more impactful and bigger and more meaningful because it was against the Packers and they handled their business. And to see the second iteration of a playoff team under Ben Johnson's regime, it was awesome. I mean, toe-to-toe with one of the league's best quarterbacks, the MVP, Matt Stafford. Both defenses showed up in a big way. Obviously, the massive fourth down play to Cole Kmet in the back left of the end zone. I was about 40 yards up at center field, so I got to see the entirety of that play take place. And watching Caleb Williams go zigzag, Fran Tarkenton style, 20 yards deep in the backfield and throwing that ball, it's magic. It's what the team's been all year, Chris. But, you know, not being able to finish, fourth downs, goal-to-go situations, turnovers in the red area, you can't have that happen. And the thing that frustrated me the most, with all these young receivers stepping up this year, with a guy like Colston Loveland at the tight end position stepping up in a huge way all season long, this team wouldn't be in position without these skill players that Ben Johnson's had to utilize. There was a lot of body catches that turned into drops that should be hand catches. And you think Bear weather, you think this team can handle the elements? Both teams were clearly affected by it, in my opinion, as a viewer. So it begs the question, what's going to happen next for the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, let's project forward. And look, the Bears had magic this season, and it was, even in a losing effort, magic on that play to send it to overtime. But how do they avoid becoming, say, Washington Commanders, who kind of had that magic last year with a young quarterback, made it all the way to the NFC Championship game, and then kind of faded away this past season? How do they avoid that?
Well, I think that the Washington Commanders have one of the things that the Chicago Bears have, a franchise quarterback in Jaden Daniels, who's a special player. But in addition to Caleb Williams in Chicago, you've got Ben Johnson, okay? You've got a great defensive coordinator in Dennis Allen, who's done a fantastic job with pieces that haven't necessarily played as well as you'd like to see, okay? I'm thinking about the rushmen, the guys who attack the quarterback for the Chicago Bears, and they haven't necessarily got it done in terms of productivity. Clearly, we saw creative ways by Dennis Allen to get home to the quarterback, and I can imagine if you're Dennis Allen, you can only imagine that the cavalry, the reinforcements, they're on their way in the form of draft picks, in the form of free agents. I trust Ryan Poles, but the offense is in a really good spot, okay? So I feel great about that moving forward. That's the difference between Washington and Chicago, and why I don't think there's going to be a letdown. Clearly, they played with house money and got out ahead of themselves, you know, playing for a chance to play in the NFC Championship this year, when many people would have been happy with 500 ball for the Chicago Bears.
Okay, so offense, don't touch it, it's fine. But defense, that's where you see a lot of the free agents, especially in the secondary this upcoming season. Bears don't have a ton of cap money available. They're, I think, 22nd.
Salary cap's not real.
Okay, not real, so let's just ignore that. They've got the 25th overall pick. You see all the 3 safeties and a cornerback eligible for free agency this offseason. What would you like the Bears to do?
Well, that guy at the top of the list, Kevin Byard, is really, you know, people think about the Mike linebacker being the quarterback of the defense, and in large part, the Mike linebacker does serve that role for the Bears, but Kevin Byard is really the co-pilot of this defense, and an all-pro type season for him for the Chicago Bears. I expect him, and I hope he would continue to be on the team. Made a ton of big plays down the stretch. Jaquan Brisker, a big-time, impact player. I'm interested to see what Ryan Poles does with this guy. He's been in and out of the lineup historically. He's had some concussion issues. Braxton Jones, I think, is a guy that they're going to have to find a way to move off of. He wasn't even dressed at the very end of the season. And remember, they had to move Joe Tooney to left tackle. So you would think, we had our tackle healthy who started the season, and he's not even in pads. Clearly, they're probably going to move on from Braxton Jones.
How would you like to see them address an issue that you brought up, getting to the passer?
Yeah, well, they're going to have to get creative. And somebody who knows Max Crosby, because he was in the same division as Max Crosby, is a guy by the name of Ryan Poles, who's the general manager for the Chicago Bears. He was in Kansas City as a big-time scout, like head of the scouting department there. He had eyes on every single rep that Max Crosby ever ran. So if you're a Chicago Bears fan, you're like, have you seen they've seen Max Crosby. And if they really want to value getting a pass rusher, which I think they should, if they're going to be in some of these shootouts with Caleb Williams and all the firepower they have offensively, go get somebody who, when the other team throws because they're behind, can actually get to the quarterback, because we've taken some swings on rushers and we've missed in Chicago.
All right, so you want to put together a trade package for
Well, I don't
Max
know.
Crosby?
I mean, people are, and rightfully so, understandably so, frustrated with some of these guys from the receiver room. And, that's not on me to evaluate because I don't see these guys day to day. But there are a plethora of names that you can draw from on the Bears' offensive side of the ball to say, would you like to make a deal, Tom Brady?
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. That would be an interesting thing to watch this offseason. We saw it. What were you there when they made the trade for Khalil Mack?
I was. So
we've seen this happen before.
Dude, I want you to understand that city, the last time I felt the city so alive is when my Twitter blew up in 2018 that said, Khalil Mack. It was on a Friday that Khalil Mack showed up to Hallis Hall. Week 1, Friday, against the Green Bay Packers. He walked into the and I remember it because it was in the indoor facility. That's the only day of the week we do indoors, Friday. And he came in and they put on Return of the Mac, and practice started, and then he went out there and he had like 3 sacks, forced fumble, touchdown against Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. So this guy, Max Crosby, if he were to come back and play in Chicago, and if you can get a guy like Khalil Mack, I'm glad you mentioned him.
Bring him back?
Look, Khalil Mack can still get it done, and you pair a guy like Khalil Mack with Max Crosby, or you get one of those guys. It's an immediate impact to your defense.
All right, we've seen these second-year quarterbacks make big jumps this year. Caleb Williams is one of those guys. What is one thing you'd like to see him get better at next season to become a superstar?
Well, I think, and you ask him, he'll say the same thing: accuracy. It's the throw that the third baseman has to make to the first baseman routinely in a baseball game. It's the ground ball to the second baseman that's a flip throw to the first baseman. Those are the ones that Caleb, and admittedly so, he'll tell you, those are the ones he has to hit more often if he wants to become the guy in the National Football League instead of one of the best guys. He can become the guy if he hits those shots because he can do it all. He's creative, he's strong, he's elusive, he's tough, and my oh my, he has the strongest arm, I think, in the National Football League.
All right, one more topic before we close things out, and this isn't looking to next year, but even further into the future for the Chicago Bears franchise. Ownership looking to move out of Chicago, maybe even to Indiana, and play indoors. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think the Indiana conversation may be a leverage play, or I may be speaking out of turn here. But also, if you look at a map of Chicagoland, as it really is, Chicago's the city, but Chicagoland, you and I both know, is sprawling like Los Angeles. There's the city, Chicago proper, and then you sprawl out. And where they're talking about in Gary, Indiana, doing a complete infrastructure renovation, putting some makeup down there, that's not as far as the facility that we practice at in Lake Forest. So like from downtown Chicago to Gary, Indiana is equidistant in time to getting to the facility for players. So really the people who would be in hot water would be the players. You got to drive an hour south to the city, and then you got to make another 45-minute drive to Gary, Indiana. So that's what's interesting to me. I think if you're going to move it and not have it at Soldier Field on the lakefront, you need to go up to the Arlington racetrack, because that property, they don't make properties like that anymore, Chris. And if you can have a Bears city up there and create a way for fans to get up there easily from the city, from the West Burbs, from the South Side, where all the fans are coming from, you're gonna hit gold there, and then the valuation of the Bears goes up big B's.
Roof, though? Are you okay with the roof?
Have a roof, but have it be able to open up.
Open it up, let the snow in?
If you want to. I mean, if you've ever been to Chicago in the fall, in late fall, it's beautiful. Throw a sweater on. It's the best weather, in my opinion, for football.
All right, the Chicago Bears, moving forward to next season, they have, on paper, the toughest schedule in the league. They've got to play the AFC East. They also have to play the Seahawks, the Eagles, the Jags. Not going to be easy, but Kyle Long thinks they're in a great spot.